Well, after predictions, the business must continue on, as is the case for us here in Morning at NTV. We step into our tech note this morning, where we get to look at clean water access in remote Ugandan communities. My guest is Allan Tenywa, team lead and founder of Go Back to School Children's Foundation. Good morning to you, Mr. Founder.
Good morning, Never.
How are you?
I'm okay.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Of course, I'm also glad to be here at NTV.
Okay. All right, let's get into the gist of the matter. I know that water, clean and safe water to be exact, is critical to any child in order for them to then get the education that they deserve as they move on their development stages. So could you give us a brief overview of the current status of water access in rural communities?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, first of all. Like you've introduced me before, I'm Allan Tenywa. I'm the founder and team leader for GOBS Children's Foundation. We are Go Back to School Children's Foundation. And of course, our focus is to see that many children in the communities of Uganda can go to school. And going to school means they have to access, of course, the best needs. Now, when we talk about the need for water, to see that children can go to school, that means if schools don't have access to water, then many children will end up moving from schools to go and get water. So we have many communities in Uganda where access to water into their schools and also into their neighbors isn't there. So in one or the other, we are trying to address the fact that children cannot walk long distances to go and fetch water, and also to merge also on going to school.
Okay, can you tell us about the gravity tap water system that you recently launched? Why did you find this as the best solution for the rural communities?
You see, the project we launched recently is in Chikwai village, Ngogwe sub-county Buyukwe district, and it's one of the local areas where water is not accessible. So in order to ensure that children do not have to walk long distances, and also people do not have to walk long distances on the way to go and fetch water, we have to find ways as to how we can tap the water from the shallow wells, creating a gravity water flow using the solar powered system, of course, and then tapping it into our water reservoirs up the hills, and then supplying it into the communities. Now, in one or the other, we are creating the community water taps. That's one. And then two, of course, extending it into various homes, such that, and also schools, and also we had push it into the health centers where people can access it for free. It's a pleasure to us that, of course, women and children can go into health facilities and also they find water there.
Okay, that's amazing work that you are doing. But
Absolutely.
I know that it has come with challenges. It needs financing and support. Who are the partners that you are working with on this project?
First of all, we are working with the communities. It's so important that people themselves can love the project. People have always allowed us to pass the pipelines into their land. That's the most important thing. And then two, we are working with the government too, because we are tapping our water from one of the recent shallow funded well by the government. And then three, we are working also with Weber Dutch Foundation, and they have also tried to fully fund the installation of the solar systems and also the extensions of the pipelines into the communities. But more importantly, also working with Pat the Child and many other volunteers.
Okay, so I know that we're in a rainy season, so there's techniques that can be adopted to save water. Then the dry season will come, and there are techniques that can be adopted to utilize water effectively. Are there some of those technologies that you, through the foundation, are equipping the communities with?
Yeah, we have, of course, because of the weather changes, as GOBS Foundation, we have funded, we have extended an electric pipeline to our system, so that despite rainy season, one, water is always available by the use of the pumping electric system, and then two, we have tried as much as we can to also provide water tanks into various homes, more so the elderly homes, because for them, you find it hard for them to walk to come and access water at the taps, because we have many of the community taps. So what we also try to do is to provide water tanks into various homes, more so for the older people, such that they can also try to access the water.
Okay, you have such a good heart to realize that there's a loophole, and through your foundation you are trying to cover that loophole, but you can't do it by yourself. I know that there's support that you need from government and governmental institutions. What would be your advice, or from the experience that you have gotten on ground, from the realities that you've seen on ground, what would be your advice and your say to the different government institutions that can be able to bridge that gap further?
First of all, it's really true that many communities in Uganda don't have access to clean water, and the national water has tried its best, but statistically you could see that close to national water has provided around 19 million people that have tried to access water, but Ugandan population doesn't have only 19 million people, and I believe in every village or in every community there is that water source, or there is that shallow well which can really provide water. So like in the same way, GOBS has tried to bring water from the shallow well, then pump it to a hill, and then bring it into the community. I feel like the government can also try to look in each village and find a well which they can use to tap water, and they also try to expand it in also other communities. So I think I'm calling upon the government to see that if they can move either parish or village to village, finding water accesses, tapping it from where it is, and also expanding it to the people like we have done it into our communities.
Okay. So as a foundation, how would you quantify your success and the impact of your projects?
Yeah, it's glad first of all to see that people no longer have to walk longer distances to go and fetch water. That is so nice. And also we are proud to see that children now still have to take a longer distance, still have to stay in school, not walking longer distances to go and fetch water. And also we are proud that we have reduced on the number of gender-based violences, because you know many recent times ago women had to go to get water, they could take a lot of time there, and at the end of the day, coming back to their homes, men could always feel like, where have you been? You know, I'd gone to fetch water, and all those factors have really been reduced.
Okay. All right, so as we're closing this conversation, going back to school is very important.
Absolutely.
Many children are being left out of the education sector, and through the foundation, what other ways are you enabling children to actually get back into school?
One, we are doing the child sponsorship program, where we identify children from various communities who are living, most of them are really orphaned, and we try to get for them sponsors, and they send them back to school. But again also, during the start of our work as GOBS Foundation, our work of course was to strictly focus on the child sponsorship program, but now we also really build schools. So we are focusing on also improving on the learning environment, because of course, like you know, access to education does not only mean that the children have to study in poor learning environment. So the more we build more schools, the more we encourage and we empower, and kids can easily attend school. Then we are tackling a project called the Action for Teenage Pregnancy, and that's more into eastern parts of Uganda and Busoga regions mainly, where we support those young mothers to go back to school. All
right, Allan, as we close this conversation, what are your closing remarks and your call to action to the different stakeholders?
Of course, my call for action, one is to seek for the government, one, to ensure there is access to quality education into little communities of Uganda by ensuring beautiful classes, and then two, forcing the government or requesting the government to provide or to extend water into the various communities of Uganda, so children can no longer have to walk longer distances on their way to go and fetch water. All
right, thank you so much, Allan Tenywa, team lead and founder of Go Back to School Children's Foundation. Tremendous work that is being done there. He is bridging the gap, of course, as an organization, but the government then has a lot more to do in order to ensure that this is coverage across the country. Now, speaking of coverage, Stephen